Greetings once again, Dragon Warriors. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with Dragon Ball Super, where previously the battle against the Unleashed Cell Max rages on. The Gammas, Gotenks, 18, Gohan and Piccolo do their best to fight against the massive brute, but to no avail, and thus Gamma 2 comes up with a last-ditch attack. While everyone else distracts Cell Max, Gamma 2 flies up into Earth's atmosphere and does a kamikaze attack, unloading everything he has to try to take out Cell Max. But Cell Max does notice the incoming blue comet Gamma 2, does his best to block with his arm, but is disarmed in the process. But I wouldn't say his sacrifice was in vain. A single-armed Cell Max is better than a dual-armed. Piccolo even goes into his giant state, something we haven't seen in a very long time. People comment about how could Piccolo forget? The giant form usually doesn't serve in most situations, let's be honest. Not to mention it doesn't increase his strength. It's more of an intimidation factor. And while Piccolo does get in some good licks, it's ultimately in vain. But Piccolo knows what is needed. Gohan at full power, unleashing everything he's got. So Piccolo goes to give his last remaining Senzu Bean. How he found that in his waistband, I do not know. And in a deviation from the movie, Cell Max blasts Piccolo's hand, showing that the beast might have had more intelligence than we let on. And in a very different moment, unlike when Pan was running from the blast of Cell Max and began to fly, Pan leapt for the bean as it was going off a cliff, and then floated back up. It was actually a very cute moment, and I liked it being for the sake of her father more than anything else. And so with this, the plan is in motion. Everyone, including the giant Piccolo, will do their best to make sure Cell stays in place, so Gohan can unleash a decisive blast to Cell's weak point, the top of his head. Can he do it? You've seen the movie, but let's see what the differences are. Shall we? Alright, Dragon Ball Super Chapter 99. Ooh, that's actually kind of exciting. Son Gohan's Ultimate Awakening. Alright, Cell Max flies into a fit of rage, roaring and emanating energy. The giant orange Piccolo turns to Gohan saying, "Alright Gohan, charge up your chi." Gohan says, "Got it," and he lands on some nearby rubble. Gohan then proceeds to charge up, and Piccolo rushes in on Cell Max, ripping off his shirt dramatically. And as Cell Max notices Piccolo at the last second, they grapple, with Piccolo trying his best to hold Cell Max down. But Cell Max manages to wind back and delivers a massive kick to Piccolo's face, which really takes Piccolo off guard. As Piccolo is staggered a bit, Cell Max reaches back for a right hook, and delivers it mightily to Piccolo's face. He then shoulder checks Piccolo, and delivers a mighty uppercut. Shoryuken! Gotenks, Krillin, and 18 look on shock as Cell Max delivers a tail whip that knocks Piccolo back even further, sending him careening to the ground. Krillin cries out, "Oh no, Piccolo!" Gohan stands shocked, crying out for Piccolo, but the beaten and bloody Piccolo says, "Stay back, focus your chi." And as Piccolo slowly makes his way up, he says, "Time to take this up a notch." And as Cell Max rushes back in on Piccolo, both wind up their fists and deliver a cross counter. Simultaneous punches to each other's face. They both stagger backwards, but Cell Max, not missing a beat, whips his tail at Piccolo, using the massive mace on the end of his tail, striking Piccolo in the gut, winding him. As Piccolo is doubled over, Cell Max comes in with the hammer fist. You gotta love that Cell Max is just undeterred by the fact that he's missing a hand. As Piccolo is knocked in the face, Krillin calls over to Gohan saying, "Ready yet, Gohan? Piccolo's almost a goner." Gohan grits his teeth saying, "Just a bit more." Cell Max then delivers a hit with his severed hand, knocking Piccolo back into some rubble. And as Piccolo's back is literally up against the wall, Cell Max charges in, delivering a right hook. Gotenks is dismayed as Piccolo is hit in the chest, and Gotenks charges up, much to Krillin's shock. And as Gotenks rushes in, Krillin calls out, "Ah, you jerks!" But Krillin decides to rush in too, with 18 following. But as Cell Max holds Piccolo by the throat on the ground, he notices Gotenks rushes in. Cell Max roars and then swipes Gotenks away with his severed arm. As Gotenks is set flying, Krillin and 18 deliver a volley of ki blasts, but Cell Max blocks it with his arm. He then uses his severed arm to swing around and knocks into 18. Krillin is shocked, calling out for 18, saying, "Oh no!" And he rushes towards her, grabbing her by the hand. But as he tries to help her, in comes Cell Max, raising his mighty fist and knocking the two into the ground. But we then see Gamma 1 charging up his blaster. But as Gamma 1 fires off a blast, Cell Max in an instant manages to dodge it. Freaking fast, motherfucker. And as Gamma 1 hovers in the air shocked, he doesn't notice Cell Max's tail coming at him from behind. And as it strikes it, Gamma 1 hits the ground, and he hits it hard. Everyone is down. And Gohan, still charging, can only just grit his teeth, saying, "Damn it." But Piccolo rises from the rubble, irking out the words, "Gotta slow him down." But Cell Max, seeing the now arisen Piccolo, goes in for a dynamic flying kick. Ooh, but Piccolo manages to catch the kick, softening the impact if only just a little. And as Piccolo skids backwards, Cell Max, not missing a beat, tries to go in with his flail of a tail. It's a flail of a tail! But Piccolo manages to catch it, and then screams, "Chew on this!" and uses Cell Max's own tail to just knock him in the face. I don't actually remember that, but dang. But Cell Max manages to maintain his footing from the hit. He then glares at Piccolo and instantaneously delivers a mouth blast that just severs Piccolo's arm. It's like, oh hey, twinsies! It's like, now they're both alright. Piccolo gasps from the pain as Cell Max takes the opportunity to knock Piccolo in the face with his severed hand. Gohan shouts to himself Piccolo won't last much longer, but as Piccolo grapples with Cell Max, he shouts over to Gohan, "I said stay back, or this'll all have been for nothing." Gohan shouts, but Piccolo tells him, "Don't make a move until your power surpasses his, no matter what happens to me. Keep focusing," he shouts, just as Cell Max goes in for a headbutt. Meanwhile, on Bulma's plane, Pan watches in shock, calling out for poor Piccolo, as we see Piccolo with his face smashed into the ground by Cell Max. Cell Max then throws him into the air, and then delivers a volley of energy blasts that just pepper Piccolo all over. As Gohan watches in shock, the beast roars out as Piccolo just keeps getting pelted by blast after blast after blast. Gohan watches in shock, saying, "No." As Piccolo's body begins to descend, Cell Max charges up one last attack, an attack filled with dark energy that grows bigger and bigger. Piccolo's body keeps falling. Cell Max keeps charging. Gohan cries out, "No, don't." Gamma 1 lifts his head up, struggling to even do that much, as he says, "This looks bad." And as Piccolo's body gets into range, Cell Max launches an attack. Gamma 1 rises to his feet and rushes towards the energy blast, and as it approaches Piccolo, Gamma 1 approaches as well, and a massive explosion goes off, with Gohan looking on in stunned silence. And as a quiet comes over the battlefield, Cell Max grits his teeth, then lets out a massive roar. It's then that something snaps within Gohan, something that Cell Max notices immediately, as energy erupts from Gohan's body. An intense look of anger washes over his face. A madness enters his eyes as Gohan lets off a primal yell that leaves Cell Max stunned, as energy emanates from Gohan's body, an intense flow of energy and a blinding light that emanates from the Red Ribbon base. And in just in time, Krillin regains consciousness, and as he and 18 make their way to their feet, Krillin questions, what's going on? As he sees the visage of Gohan, now with a hairdo that very much is akin to Super Saiyan 3, but not quite, because this boy has become a beast. I think that's why I'm not so, down on the style, because it just looks like Super Saiyan 3, just with the hair up instead of flowing back. Gohan now stands before Cell Max, a calm fury washing over his face. Cell Max grits his teeth, lets out a mighty roar, then tries to rush in on Gohan, delivering a mighty punch with his massive fist to the small Gohan's midsection. The force of the attack seems to just flow around Gohan as if it were water, as if all the energy was just nothing to everything but Gohan. No, nothing to Gohan and nothing else, I should say. The force of the blow hitting the area behind Gohan, and Gohan just calmly says, "Is that all you got?" Cell Max struggles to exert more force on Gohan, but Gohan calmly says, "My turn now," as he slowly pushes aside Cell Max's mighty fist. He then, with a quickness, reappears right before Cell Max, delivering a mighty kick to the beast's stomach. Gohan lets off a yell as he knocks Cell Max back like he was nothing, sending Cell Max through a building and into the side of the crater of the Red Ribbon base. And as Gohan lands on some nearby rubble, staring down where the beast landed, he then sees Piccolo's body finally hit the ground. As Gohan turns, he sees that Gamma 1 had actually managed to use his force field in order to guard Piccolo's vitals. Gamma 1 then calls out to Piccolo, "Hey, Piccolo!" Piccolo doesn't respond, and Gamma 1 calls out again, "Wake up!" A distressed look then washes over Gohan's face, but Cell Max then rises out of the rubble, roars, raises his hand, and creates an energy ball just like the one he used to fell Piccolo, even more massive than before. And as Gohan looks on, Cell Max makes the ball grow bigger and bigger and bigger. The ball goes from eclipsing the whole entire area to looking almost as though a small moon was nestled in the planet. Gohan grits his teeth as Cell Max then compresses the blast, almost ready to launch it. But before Cell Max can do anything else, a massive orange hand then wraps around Cell Max's body, holding him in place, as we then see that Piccolo has arisen, as he calls out, "Not on my watch. You're going nowhere." Gohan, in shock, calls out to Piccolo, but Piccolo turns to him saying, "Now, Gohan, do it!" Gohan's attention immediately snaps back to Cell Max. Cell Max struggles against Piccolo's grasp as he jerks, pulling Piccolo in, but Piccolo does his best to hold his ground. Cell Max's attention caught up between the massive blast of energy he's holding up in the air and Piccolo holding him down. As he manages to get Piccolo in close, Cell Max tries to kick Piccolo off of him, but Piccolo, with Cell Max's foot to his face, grits his teeth saying, "You think I'd let you go that easily?" We then see a massive amount of thunderous energy emanating from Gohan. His muscles bulge with veins. Intensity fills Gohan's face as he holds his hands to his forehead in a very familiar pose. And Cell Max, he senses the danger. And in a very interesting moment that I don't think we've ever seen, he spreads his wings and proceeds to begin to try to fly, much to the shock of Piccolo, who still tries to hold him in place. Before Cell Max can get too much air, Piccolo regenerates his other arm and wraps it around Cell Max's foot as Piccolo calls out, "Settle down!" Cell Max continues to struggle against Piccolo's grasp as Piccolo tries his best to hold Cell Max on the ground, but Cell Max manages to do it, getting Piccolo aloft. Piccolo calls out, "Whoa, damn it!" As Cell Max is swinging Piccolo around in the air, Gohan is trying to aim his shot as best he can, but suddenly something blasts off Cell Max's wings, and as Cell Max and Piccolo turn to see where the shot came from, we see none other than Gamma 1 aiming his blaster. In the commotion, in comes Piccolo with his Kienzan. Krillin fires off the Destructo Disc to Cell Max's wing, but it seems to glance off. But a crack does form. And 18 capitalizes on the moment, kicking off Cell Max's wing. Love the husband and wife teamwork. Always love to see it. Cell Max is taken off guard as he plummets. Gohan looks on in shock. Piccolo roars as he manages to fully bind down Cell Max, completely wrapping him down in his arms. Piccolo even locks his legs around Cell Max's as he cries out, "Now Gohan, fire it off!" And as they get into position, Gohan raises his hands and yells, "To be continued." Well, this did, I think, add in some stuff that was not in the movie. Mainly, Gamma 1 coming in and helping out Piccolo survive Cell Max's blast, which I actually like because it involves them in the final moments, as well as Gamma 1, Krillin, 18, blasting off Cell Max's wings. Again, another moment I would have loved to see in the movie because it gives them more to do. But the movie wanted to make this final moment all about Cell Max, Piccolo, Gohan. That was it. But I do appreciate the minute changes. It's just, I really thought we'd be done with this by this chapter. I thought by chapter 100, we'd be on to something else. But no, it looks like we are taking this adaptation into chapter 100, which, ooh baby, this, I'm still surprised that they are dedicating this much time to this. Because when it comes to Super Dragon Ball Heroes, enough things are different in that adaptation to kind of justify things. Because the Super Dragon Ball Heroes anime, it's too short. There's too little time that's actually given to a lot of the content that goes on there, and enough things happen that sets up stuff that's going to happen later, like what's going on now with Ozoto. That was being set up a lot in the manga, but the anime didn't touch upon Ozoto that much. I think there was like one scene with Ozoto in the anime, and that was absent for the rest of the anime. And now he's the big bad with all that setup that just wasn't in the anime. And enough different things happen, like Solon moments are completely different between the manga and the anime, and plot relevant moments at that. But here, it's really just the same stuff with a little bit of added spice into it. And it's not even that great of a spice. It's like, yeah, we got to see a little bit more from Gamma 1, Krillin, Goten, Trunks, but I mean, it doesn't really make it worth it in the end. That's the thing. I really do my best to give a lot of this the benefit of the doubt, but man, we spent a lot of time to this. And for ultimately, it seems that the year is going to be capped off with finally getting through the superhero arc. I heard some people say that they don't really care for Gohan's power-up, either from the way it's achieved or just the way it looks. Well, I can't really speak much to the way it looks because, I mean, it is kind of goofy, but again, look, it's very in line with what we've seen in a lot of moments, and it essentially just feels like an alternate version of Super Saiyan 3 to me. But in terms of Gohan getting it, it's the continued kind of payoff of the fact that Gohan just always has that potential, and his greatest feats of strength have always come from his rage and anger. Like, Gohan has been stupidly strong for such a long period of time, and that's been probably the most consistent yet inconsistent things about him. And again, his greatest feats have always come from his rage, no matter where you look throughout the series. I mean, Gohan managing to get a very decisive blow on Raditz when neither Piccolo or Goku could. Now, you could just say that Raditz didn't really see it coming, but time and time again, Gohan has been at his most powerful with his rage form. I just want to see ultimately how this stacks up going forward, because it's the fulfillment of something that I didn't know if they were actually going to capitalize on in the future. You know, Gohan saying he wanted to go a different path from his father, but it was always a question of how he was going to do that, and him just having the potential within him. Okay, makes enough sense. Still debatable, but it makes enough sense. And because characters like Jiren exist who have no god ki, but still have the power to rival the gods, there was still the potential there. That's kind of why I'm so bummed that characters like Krillin, Yamcha, Tien haven't had more growth. Because we've seen that even without god ki, you can still grow so much more powerful. I mean, shoot, Frieza alone shows that. I mean, shoot, most of the Z fighters alone right now, individually, are essentially planet killers. They could all destroy a planet individually. Yamcha, Tien, Krillin, they're all around the same power level of Frieza at this point. And it's the one thing about the Moral arc I love, that we actually got to see just how far they've come, just how much more powerful they are. And it's also why I wasn't too happy when they ultimately needed Gohan's help to finish some of their fight. So while I understand a lot of the criticism and find it very valid, I am still interested to see where this whole Gohan beast thing goes from here on out. Because it's cool, he has this power, he has this next stage of power, but if we don't see him actually at least fighting in certain situations with it, having that growth through combat, then I mean, what does it ultimately help in the long run? If we only ever see it during this fight, so what then? Like, we need some kind of threat that takes Gohan Beast coming in and Orange Piccolo. Maybe a team up with Goku Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego Vegeta, something along those lines. How does it stack up in the long run? Will there really be any meaning to Gohan getting this power? Well, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye.